me. Go ahead. We're doing the practice. Zion Wade, we on the beach. You know what we about to do? Get the news to you like this. Ooh.
Hello, I'm Candace Hines, and today I'm going to be talking about black holes in the galaxy.
I'm Zion Wade, and I'm going to be talking about Facebook.
Joshua going to be talking about wars in Iraq.
I'm Robbie Watts, and I will be talking about cloning embryos.
South Korean scientists based at the Seoul National University stirred up a storm worldwide last week when they announced in the online edition of the journal, Science, that they had created the first human-cloned embryos. Until last week, the consensus among cloning scientists had been that humans and other primates might prove much more difficult to clone than mice or sheep. The team was led by Woo-Suk Hwang of University's Veterinary College and Shin Young-moon, a gynecologist. Both called for a worldwide ban on human cloning for reproductive purposes. Our goal is not to clone humans, but to understand the causes of disease. Our aspiration is to treat incurable diseases, Dr. Hwang told the meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science in Seattle. Now we stop and think before taking the next step. The scientists used 242 eggs from 16 women donors. Because they started with a huge number of eggs, they could vary the methods they used and the media in which they grew the cells. They derived 30 blastocysts, and from these tried 20 times to produce a line of embryo stem cells. The success rate was not high, possibly because of chromosomal abnormalities that appeared in the reprogramming, or possibly because of subtle variations in the techniques they used. They ended up with just one line of stem cells, cultivated from a blastocyst that had been cloned from nuclear material taken from cumulus cells belonging to the woman who had donated the egg in the first place. The existence of a dish of embryo stem cells, at least in theory, opens the way for a kind of personalized medicine in which patients with, for example, diabetes or Parkinson's disease could receive transplants of tissue containing their own DNA, thus sidestepping many of the problems of immune rejection. But such treatments were in practice years away. Acknowledged Donald Kennedy, editor-in-chief of Science, nobody's going to clone any people using this technique. The best hope is that for some people, some women particularly, under certain circumstances, it might be a useful way to create a safer form of transplantation therapy. That is all about you can say, he said.
So, in July 2004, celebrated physicist Stephen Hawking announced that for the past 30 years, he had been wrong about black holes. What's more, however, his error cost him a long-standing bet, obliging him to present a baseball encyclopedia to John Preskill of the California Institute of Technology. On the bright side, Hawking's black hole recantation had a rather exciting side effect. I think, he ventured, I have solved a major problem in theoretical physics. Formed from a collapsed star, a black hole is a cosmic vacuum cleaner whose gravitational pull is so strong that it sucks up everything in its way. In 1976, Hawking theorized that black holes emit random radiation. This was later named Hawking radiation, and lose mass until they are eventually evaporated without a trace. All the matter is sucked into a black hole, and all information about it, its quantum mechanical properties, will be lost forever. But Hawking's theory contradicts an essential principle of quantum physics. No information can ever be truly destroyed. Black holes, if Hawking was right, defy the laws of the universe as we know it. This radical theory, according to Preskill, precipitated a genuine crisis in fundamental physics. Preskill recited and resisted accepting what became known as the black hole information paradox. And in 1997, Hawking, along with other colleagues, bet him that information swallowed by a black hole is forever hidden from the outside universe and can never be revealed, even as the black hole evaporates and completely disappears. 7 years later, Hawking claims to have solved the very paradox he created. According to his revised theory, black holes will eventually open up, revealing information about what went into them. The information remains firmly in our universe, Hawking asserted. Preskill was pleased enough at having won the bet, but acknowledged, I'll be honest, I didn't understand the talk.
Hello, my name is Margaret Spraggins, and I will be talking about sports. So in the basketball world, the finals this year, The Detroit Pistons beat the Lakers in a series of 4-1. This is the Pistons' first NBA title they have won in 14 years. And the MVP of this series is Chauncey Billups. He's a point guard. And in the WNBA, the Seattle Storm defeat the Connecticut Suns in 3 games. And I'm gonna go to football. The New England Patriots win the Super Bowl 32-29 to the Carolina Panthers in Houston, Texas. And John Elway, Barry Sanders, and Carl Eller and Bob Brown are inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. And that's all I have.
In other news today, a young man named Mark Zuckerberg founded an app called Facebook while studying psychology at Harvard University. He's a young keen computer programmer, and he's already developed a number of social networking websites for fellow students on campus. One including Course Match, which allows users to view people taking their degree, and Face Mash, where you can rate people's attractiveness. Mark launched Facebook as it was originally known. The name was taken from the sheets of paper distributed to freshmen, profiling students and staff. Within 24 hours, 1,200 Harvard students had signed up, and after 1 month, over half of the undergraduate population had applied.
The 2004 Atlantic hurricane season was a very deadly and destructive season with over 3,200 deaths and more than $61 billion of damage. More than half of the 16 tropical cyclones brushed or struck the United States. The season officially began on June 1st and ended on November 30th. Beyond the traditional boundaries, the first storm Alex developed offshore of the southeastern United States on July 31st, one of the latest dates on record to the formation of the first system in the Atlantic hurricane season. It brushed the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic, causing 1 death and $7.5 million worth of damage. Several storms caused only minor damage, including tropical storms Bonnie, Earl, and Matthew. In addition, hurricanes Danielle, Carl, and Lisa had no effect on land while being a tropical cyclone. There are 4 notable storms: Hurricane Charlie, that made landfall in Florida as a Category 4 hurricane, causing $16 billion in damage in the United States alone. Later in August, Hurricane Francis struck the Bahamas and Florida, causing at least 49 deaths and $10.1 billion in damage. The costliest and most intense storm was Hurricane Ivan. It was a Category 5 hurricane that devastated multiple countries adjacent to the Caribbean Sea, before entering the Gulf of Mexico and causing catastrophic damage on the Gulf Coast of the United States. Throughout the countries it passed through, Ivan caused 129 facilities and over $26.1 billion in damage. The deadliest storm was Hurricane Jeanne. In Haiti, torrential rainfall in the mountainous areas resulted in mudslides and severe flooding, causing at least 3,006 facilities. Jeanne also struck Florida, inflicting extensive destruction. Overall, the storm caused at least $7.94 billion in damage and over 3,000 deaths, ranking it at one of the deadliest Atlantic hurricanes in history. Collectively, the storms of the season caused at least 3,270 deaths and about $61.2 billion in damage, making it the costliest Atlantic hurricane season at the time in 1996.
In other news this week, an intense race for the presidency led to the re-election of President Bush over Democrat challenger John Kerry. As in 2000, the election came down to one state. This time, it was Ohio's 20 electoral votes that put Bush over the top. Unlike 2000, Bush also won the popular vote with 51% to Kerry's 48%. The election further tipped the balance of power decisively into the Republican corner in Washington as the party won larger advantages in the Senate and House. In 11 gubernatorial races, Democrats and Republicans split in contests, while Washington's race remains too close to call, and a hand recount is underway. Nationwide, voters turned out in droves, with a turnout rate approaching 60%, the highest since 1968.
All right, in today's news, war in Iraq is growing. Insurgents in Iraq use cars
suicide and roadside bombings to chip away at U.S. and a coalition efforts to reconstruct the countries and institute the nation's first government fall since Saddam Hussein's regime. Yeah. Terrorists and insurgent groups took up the grisly practice of kidnapping and beheading foreign hostages, bidding to compel countries to leave the U.S. led coalitions. Is that? Yeah, I think. U.S. troops mounted an offensive in the fall to retake controls of towns such as Fouaa, widely seen as hotbeds of the insurgency. In April 2004, a series of graphic photographs of U.S. soldiers mistreating Iraqi prisoners was revealed. At least 5 detainees died in U.S. custody of Iraq or in Afghanistan. Cut that. Cut it. Cut it. In other news, Yasser Arafat died today. Damn. He was a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Also, he was seen as a leader of violent struggle that used suicide bombing against Israel. That ain't it. He blowing people up too. He died in a Paris hospital on November 11th after a month of health problems. While many mourned his passings, others saw his death as an opportunity for others to get over on him. Well, we know where he went. Cut it.